Separate the real from the fake. See, we got to get back to love. If we get back to love, then that's when we're going to get back to us.
It seems like it's never enough. And what do you say when you're...
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of People Empowerment, where we would strive to change the conditions in our community. As you know, this is politics season, Politic Nation in Buffalo, New York, and politics are heating up right now, hot and heavy. So you'll have to excuse me for the shades, but I'll just show you right quick. Got some dirt in my eye, got a little infection, but I think it's kind of distracting, so I'm going to wear the shades today, but for no other reason, but I wanted to make that clear why I have them on. Today, our guest is Antoine Thompson, who's running for 141, the legislature. Mr. Thompson says he's going to win. He says he's fighting hard, so we got him back here on the show so we could talk about what's going on. Also wanted to inform you that I have extended an invitation to his opponent, Crystal People-Stokes. I have sent out many messages. I saw her the other day, hoping she'll still come on, but if not, we're still going to tell the story. If we only have one side, then one side it'll be. Mr. Thompson, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you too. I'm feeling empowered. I'm feeling powerful. I want to get the information out to the people. So the first thing I want to ask you is, since the last time you've been on the show, tell us how you've been and what is the progress you've seen in the community.
Yeah, first let me thank you for having me on the show. I am really excited. We have just a couple of days to go until the big election on September 9th. And I've been crisscrossing the district, and people have been really responsive to my message about jobs, about hope. Too many people in this district feel like they don't have any hope. Our young people are dying. In 1 week alone, I went to 3 funerals for young people 22 years of age and younger. And that's unfortunate. So we need an advocate in Albany that's going to push for jobs, that will push for more money for housing. We must invest more in our schools, training our young people for careers and not for the streets of Buffalo, and making sure that we have a stronger commitment to career and technical education, and making sure that we get these school buildings open more hours, 6 to 7 o'clock at night during the week, and at least up until 6 or 7 o'clock on Saturdays, because our community centers, many of them are on a shoestring budget. Our senior programs, many of them are not receiving the services they deserve, and our young people can't utilize their community centers at the rate in which they should, in the manner in which they should, because they don't have the resources to provide adequate staffing in a lot of our community centers. We need an advocate that's going to bring some dollars to the district to put more people to work, help small businesses, help the neighborhood, so that when people call their neighborhood housing agency, they have money for them, and to help fix up their houses, and also to get these schools open so we can train our young people for careers and not for the streets. So people have been very responsive. Over 7,500 people signed my petition. We registered over 2,500 people to vote, and now we just got to turn everyone out.
Yeah, I was going to get to that, but it's so important that you harp on jobs. I've been saying it for years, jobs, jobs, jobs. In the last mayoral campaign, that was the hot topic of Mayor Brown's opponent, was jobs. Nothing stops a bullet like a job. And we've talked about that. We've said it many times. Nothing stops a bullet like a job. So what do we need, and we have needed for so long, is jobs for the people in our community. Jobs for people in our community, job training programs, you know what I mean, for the people in our community, to train them to work on these jobs, this Buffalo Baying that's coming in here. You know what I mean? I think it's a big thing when our people in place, our politicians who are already in place, the incumbents, tout about the $1 billion that's coming to Buffalo and all the things that are coming to Buffalo, yet the true residents of the city aren't the ones employed. The true residents of the city aren't the ones involved in training programs, paid training programs, don't know anything about them. So, I mean, how is that going to change if you become the man, the legislator for 141?
Well, Arthur Eve was a staunch advocate. Former Deputy Speaker Arthur Eve was a staunch advocate for jobs. And we need that level of advocacy to make sure that people are working. Sure. There's a lot of development going on throughout Buffalo. However, too many people in this district are not working. So for example, if you go into the Broadway-Fillmore area, you go into the Hamlin Park area, you go into Central Park, you go in parts in University Heights, even some parts in North Buffalo.
Cheektowaga, North Cheektowaga.
Well, I don't have Cheektowaga, but okay. I do have most of the east side, part of the old First Ward. There's a lot of people
really?
Right behind the Perry projects. A lot of folks over there are struggling to make ends meet. People need jobs, and they need someone who said that, you know what, this is my cause. Everyone in public life or community life has a cause. My cause is neighborhoods, and my cause is putting people to work. That's my cause. I've drawn my line in the sand. I want people to say, that's the jobs guy. You know, they have somebody, they're the arts person, guy. They're the this person, they're the some of everything. I want to be known as the guy who his number one issue is seeing those ex-offenders, helping them get kid went to college, they got a difficulty, trying to help them get a job. You went to a construction program, there's construction going all around your office, your house, your neighborhood. When the people hear my voice, they say, Antoine calling about some jobs for people.
Antoine,
and I want to help people grow in business too.
Antoine, I want to cut in, we got to go back to the job thing. Now listen, I'm sorry, when you become the next legislator for the 141st District, how will you effectuate or facilitate and make sure that compliance is upheld with job training programs that could be connected to the rest of the Buffalo billion that's still available for the work before the work is completed?
There are a couple things. That's a great question. There are a couple things that need to happen that are currently not happening at the rate in which it should. Okay? In terms of compliance, there are a lot of state laws on the books. There are a lot of city laws on the books and county laws. But we're going to deal with the state laws. The state does not have enough staff allocated to Buffalo to do contract compliance on these jobs. You need state workers. Okay. If you look at the number of compliance staff which was located in Buffalo 20 years ago and compare that to today, we don't have enough staff doing compliance.
What were the numbers?
Laws are only as good as if they're enforced. Yeah. So it's about enforcement.
Well, what's the difference in the numbers? How many were there then and now?
I don't know the exact number, but there were more then than there are now.
How many are there now? Do you know that?
There's a couple for
a couple. That means two.
Well, each agency. So, for example, SUNY, the State University of New York, their compliance staff, which does a lot with all the UB, Buff State, et cetera, they have 2 people that handle all of upstate New York. And then they have, each of the colleges may have a staff person that does that and other things. So they don't have enough staff to do it. Then you look at the Dormitory Authority and the Environmental Facilities Corporation or the Thruway Authority. Thruway Authority have 2 people, they have 2 people that monitor all of upstate as well. So there's not enough staff to make sure that these laws are being enforced.
And when you're elected?
I want to fight to make sure that the local offices have people assigned for this region. Buffalo is like New York. We're the second biggest city in the state.
I'm going to put you on spot right now. I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
I will fight to make sure that these local regional offices have more compliant staff. Secondly, in terms of the Buffalo billion and other development projects that the state, whether it's housing, whatever it may be, these individuals that are putting these projects together should be required to recruit at the Buffalo Employment and Training Center. They ought to be required to recruit at the Department of Labor. Those 2 offices are critical. And some other community agencies, whether it takes a village, the CAO, or the Urban League, they should be required as the bare minimum. The bare minimum outreach should be that they should be required to recruit Buffalo job seekers from those Buffalo facilities. That doesn't happen on a regular basis.
But there's legislation in place that says that they should be in compliance.
There may be some.
Is there, or are you going to create legislation?
There is some for compliance on diversity and inclusion. However, when we talk about workforce for when developer-driven projects or government-sponsored projects are put forward, there's not a first source agreement that says you need to recruit from these local entities to put people to work.
So how can we?
I will do that. I will sponsor a first source agreement.
And a year from now, 1 year from now, will we be able to see the proof, the fruits from what you're saying right now you're doing? Because we want to be able to check you and see if you're keeping your word.
I've said to people, hold me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I will fight. I know I can't do it by myself, but I am prepared to take buses to Albany to fight to make sure that when development happens, that they recruit at BETC, the Buffalo Employment and Training Center, 77 Cadell 856 Jobs, that they recruit at the CAO 881-5150, you know, and other, It Takes a Village with Beverly Newkirk, and other places like the Urban League. It must, or Hispanics Unite, it must happen. It's not happening. When people drive, I had a guy who stopped me and said, I've been driving down to 33 every day, and there's always work going on. And how come there's not enough people from these neighborhoods working on those jobs? Someone sleep at the switch. I just believe that I have a lot of respect for the incumbent. I just believe that I can do a better job, and I care about the community. I want to make a difference.
Listen, I appreciate that. Now, I'm going to cut to some other things, speaking on your opponent. But before I do that, I just want to clear something up. Now, there was something in the paper, Sunday's paper, about you.
Yeah.
And it says that Antoine has troubles with back taxes and with child support. Mm-hmm. So I want to get in front of this. I want you to just explain to the people right now, what is that about, and how did it get out there? Because I've heard your opponent and her camp put that out there, and I couldn't believe it, but I guess all things are possible. Explain it, please.
Well, during this time of the campaign, and I knew coming into this process, I've been involved in politics for a long time, that there will be a lot of this slash and burn, as Bill Clinton would say, types of politics. Uh-huh. But get to the short end of it. Number one, I don't owe any money for child support. When I left that's right, I said that to them once, I said it to them 1,000 times. At one point, in transition from different life experiences, I did get behind, all right? I did. But that was for my 18-year-old daughter, all right? Who I love, and I was doing a lot of things for her at that time. Mm-hmm. And so I did get behind on that part, but I sponsored $2,000 birthday parties, going away for college events. So it was a choice between doing those extra things and making sure the government saw it on paper.
But right now, today,
I don't owe anything, no.
Well, why would they tell such a blatant lie?
Because it was 2 years ago. It was well over 2 years ago. It was well over 2 years ago.
Well, the public needs to know that's true. And can they go to the records and go and call and contact child support and find out?
Well, the paperwork says, the fine print says it was, and they may have taken it out, I don't remember. They did say that. The other thing is that, you know, everyone goes through personal challenges. Sure. I have a payment plan with the IRS, and that issue is being resolved. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason why it piled up like that. Some of that I don't need to disclose because it's personal.
But you are
nature.
taking care of it.
Yeah, and you know, I'm separated. You can read between the lines, and I'll take the hit for that. Okay. I'll take the hit for that. But there's a logical explanation, and it's being worked out.
Well, I mean, and the thing is too, you're only human, and I know right now in the TV audience, there's plenty of people out there that owe some child support, could be, but yours is cleared up. I know there's plenty of people out there that are having some problems with taxes. It's just a natural occurrence in the world of life. So, again, to me, it seems like a smear campaign to totally smear you because you're moving up. Now your incumbent is like 30-1 against you. I heard with money, and you know, and so I'm not understanding why a person, an incumbent with so much power, would have to resort to these type of taxes. So is it true what I'm hearing on the streets that the people really are galvanized by your candidacy and they want you and they're going to elect you?
I believe that if you look at this district, there are a lot of people that understand that I am a man of the people. I've had an unofficial listening tour for the last 4 years. I get it. I understand it. Am I perfect? No. Can I fought harder on certain things? Can I deliver more on certain things? Absolutely. But the record shows that whether it was helping senior programs, providing money for block clubs and being accessible to people and taking on a lot of tough issues. I mean, people were talking about the bills downtown. I was talking about that 10 years ago. People were talking about crime and violence today, but when the rubber hit the road, when I was on the city council and they didn't have a homicide unit, I marched on City Hall with people to make them bring the homicide unit. When I was upset about crime, I helped create the Stop the Violence organization in my office. When I was in the Senate, I created the SNUG program, which is guns spelled backwards. When I was at the Buffalo Employment and Training Center, I created an ex-offender program. Okay, and when I get to the Assembly, I'm going to expand ex-offender, because the state has an ex-offender program in the Department of Labor that no one knows about. No one knows about it. And so I will create initiatives that respond to the needs of the community. I will make sure that if money comes to Buffalo, that it's reflective of the needs of the people. That if Arthur Eve was still in office, right?
Yes.
Regardless of what side of this district you live on, he would not allow $1 billion to come to Buffalo and people have to say it's going to trickle to your neighborhood.
Now, you know,
that's not fair.
That's right.
And people, I remember being in the Senate and people would say, Antoine, we're okay in this area. Help us with some things. But the people on that side of the city, you got to fight for them. They need help. People are dying in the streets. People need housing and the conditions and the parks and the playgrounds and the sidewalks and lead paint and asbestos and the schools are they're renovated, but they're closed. We need an advocate, and I'm ready to do that. I quit an $80,000 a year job to run for this office, and I'm thankful to God that I was able to do it, to be able to do that. It's not easy, but you know what? I believe in the people, and I believe the people will recognize that on September 9th.
You know, I believe they will too, because I've been hearing your name just ring in the community. And now, not to get off subject, but just to let the people know, I want to cut in for a minute. I was at the debate last night at the Gloria Parks Community Center between Betty Jean Grant and Senator Tim Kennedy. And I guess it wasn't really a big crowd, maybe 25, 35 people, so anything. But anyway, there were what happened is why they were in the middle of the debate, there were people that came there that I know clearly are members of your opponent's camp. Okay, Crystal People Stokes camp that came there and totally harassed her, that were shouting out all kinds of terrible things to the point where I had to stand up myself and say enough is enough and confront these people. They tried to rattle her, they tried to shake her, and they were. It just was. I couldn't even believe that I was seeing that from the community with my own eyes. And and one of the things they were talking about was this. Now, and this is a flyer that was in the mail. I believe it was in Sunday's mail. And what they were saying was, what Kennedy was saying was, and they were saying was, that this came from the Republican Party and that Betty Jean Grant is working with the Republicans against the citizens of the city, it seemed like. And it just, I couldn't understand why they would say that and why they were doing these things. And the point is, she clearly said that she had nothing to do with this. She clearly said, whoever it came from, you know, she had nothing to do with it. They were calling her liars, and they were just so abusive until I couldn't believe, and I mean, and clearly it was people from her camp, and I believe one of the ladies was Barbara Miller's sister, him with a baby, and was just, I mean, they were just so indignant and so unprofessional, and I would like to say that shame on you people last night for coming and doing that to Betty Jean Grant, and thank you, Betty Jean, that you didn't lose your composure.
Let me say a couple things. I want your audience to understand that this is a defining moment in this election. This is one of the elections that will define where this city goes. And that's why you're going to see a Herculean effort to stop Betty Jean Grant and myself. Betty Jean Grant, whether you like her or not, her heart is always on the people, with the people. She's disagreed with people that have endorsed her about a lot of things because they weren't on the side of the people. My campaign is about breaking from a tradition of saying it's not all about jobs for families and friends, that the masses aren't working.
Yes.
You got all this power,
Yes.
but when you drive down Jefferson Avenue, what do you see? You drive down Broadway, what do you see? You drive down William, what do you see? You drive down Sycamore, what do you see? You drive down Bailey, what do you see? What type of significant investment is happening in those areas? You may have a couple of projects here and there, but when you even go around MLK Park and you go on Bartle, Marshall, Northampton, Girard, all those streets around the park,
Horrible.
they should look just as good around MLK Park as it does around Delaware Park.
Sure.
We need to invest in them, put significant resources
Sure.
into those areas to bring up those housing up to code. Every year I've said for the last 8 to 10 years that why can't we provide money to make sure when you come down Best Street at the tail end of the parade for Juneteenth, those houses should be beautiful, stately.
Yes.
When you go to the Pine Grill reunion, those houses should be stately. And what I'm simply saying to you, when I get to Albany, my number one thing is when I vote on that budget in 2015, there will be some money for around that park. You know,
Awesome.
it's got to happen.
Awesome.
It must happen. And it's a situation where this election's about clear choices. It's clear. There are clear choices. Who's fighting for who? Who are you fighting for? A couple community organizations that you control, or you want to fight for the masses that are suffering, where you have men where I can walk down French Street and a guy says, Antoine, none of my friends work.
Yes.
He said, you're talking about 50 to 75%. The young man, 26 years of age, looked me in my eye and said, none of my friends work. That's what we're fighting for.
Antoine, I ask people, many times I've asked them, please send me in the name of anyone you know, a city resident that's working in those jobs downtown. I asked the city residents to send me the names of anybody you know that's working in these construction fields downtown making this money, all this work. And as of yet, I've only received one name in probably the last 3-4 months.
Some are working. It's just not enough. That's the challenge. Whether you live, and this not even in my district, but if you live in Black Rock, Riverside, people are not working. They're not working enough. When you go to the old First Ward or the Valley, you go to East Lovejoy or all parts of Lovejoy. You go all up and down Fillmore, all the neighborhoods up and down Bailey, all up and down Jefferson. There are
unemployment, poverty.
You look at the Fruit Belt.
Horrible.
I mean, one of the things I talk about the Fruit Belt and around the medical campus is the fact that even with all the development around the medical campus, health disparities for people that live in the area around the health around the medical campus are alarming. And the unemployment is high. They've got to be connected to to places like the Buffalo Employment and Training Center.
Well, look, your opponent touts, I'm sorry to cut in, but your opponent touts about all the jobs that have came into the medical center, into that medical corridor. And she talked about the jobs that are coming. Yet we see that our citizens aren't working in those jobs. So I don't understand why the boast about how Buffalo's proud, working proud, Buffalo's on the move when the citizens are continuing to suffer. Antoine?
Well, let's look at it this way. I can't talk about what she has or has not done. My focus is always about what I would do.
Okay.
My focus is to make sure that the Buffalo Employment and Training Center has a stronger relationship with the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus in terms of helping to put people to work. They need to have a real relationship, a memorandum of understanding, something that says that we are in this together. That does not exist after all these years. It does not exist, all right? Secondly, we have to train people for those jobs.
Yes.
That's not happening at the rate in which it should. We are training people for the streets. We're not training people for those jobs, whether they're entry level or all the way up to corporate level. That's got to happen. The last thing is making sure that we provide additional resources to put people to work. On-the-job training programs. The on-the-job training program for the state is not business friendly. There's a limited amount of money, and it's not business friendly. And all these companies that are coming into Buffalo, they should be enrolled in the New York State enrolled in a revised on-the-job training program for New York State to help put people in these neighborhoods to work.
Absolutely. Now, you know, Antoine, in these last few minutes, you know, we talking about community and what we can do for community. You know, I'm part of a community organization helping out with the kids over at Gateway or Longview, over in the old YMC Ferry. Been there since I was a little kid. You know about the old Y.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to do what we can, you know, to help bring people back in there to get it going. And we got a lot of good stuff going. So I just got to ask you right now, put you on Front Street. We're having a fundraiser on September 10th. To raise some funds. We got a little martial arts club going on. We will raise some funds to get the kids equipment, supplies, notebooks, information. We just really want to outfit them so they can really try and, you know, and learn something new and learn discipline and self-respect and self-control, especially, and a way to defend themselves without turning the gun. So will you be a part of the fundraiser and come help us out, help the community out?
I will definitely. You can count on me. I will definitely support it. I'll help promote it. If you get me a flyer.
Awesome.
This week, I'll even throw you a little ad in my magazine for you.
Okay, that's awesome. Let me say that too, and we absolutely appreciate that. Now, the other thing, listen, it's very important that people understand that even though they threw all this, they've been throwing this mud at you and throwing it at Betty Grant, and now they're using all these derogatory statements and this slanderous stuff going on. Are you going to come back at them with the same thing, or are you going to fight with love and not? I mean, explain it, if you would.
Let me say, in the spirit of Dr. King, it's not easy. But 4 years ago, I ran for state senate, and consultants said to do a lot of things that were not in my heart.
Okay.
And I paid dearly for that. People who, Mark Grassani, who I lost a close election to, he was a lawyer, and he defended a lot of criminals, and I went after him for that, and I didn't agree with it. I didn't agree with it, and I knew I shouldn't have. And so
bad advice.
It was bad advice, and I should have followed my gut. I know that Crystal Peoples has got dirty hands, but that's for the people to find that out. I don't need to attack her. She has a record. We have high unemployment. We lost the most population. Our schools are failing more than they were when Arthur Eve was in office. The money is leapfrogging over the neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are in crisis throughout most of this district. So I don't need to get into her personal business about who she's with, who she's supporting, what she's not doing, and what bills she paid and did not pay.
That's good.
That's
good.
okay. God will bring light to that.
Yes.
All right?
Okay.
And so I'm not into that. Okay? Some people say I'll go after her, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay focused on the reason why so many people are joining this effort.
Positive campaign.
That's right, about jobs and comparing what I'm going to do about helping block clubs, helping senior citizens with their roofs,
I got to
painting,
cut in. I got to cut in. Listen, we got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to give Antoine the last bit. I'm just going to say, look, this is Nate Boyd for People Empowerment. You know, you can go to the website and you can watch all the shows he's been on. Betty Jean Grant's been on. Other people's been on. It's important that we pay attention, watch what's going on. But I'm going to let Antoine close out with these last minutes and talk to the people and tell them why they should vote. Get them out. Do what you got to do.
I want to thank you, Mr. Boyd, for your advocacy throughout the years. One of the things you've always talked to me about was the fact that we need to put more people back to work, and we need to help more people go into business. There's been some progress in helping people go into business in Buffalo, but not enough. When we think about all the development that's going on in Buffalo, there are a few MWBEs, minority women business owners, that are working on those projects. There are a few people from the inner city of Buffalo that are working on those jobs. And most of the people in this district, 60% of them either live in poverty or unemployed or underemployed.
30 seconds.
We need an advocate for change. This election comes down to clear choices. Either we continue to watch development leapfrog neighborhoods, see people unemployed, see our schools closing and failing, our community centers and health facilities and nursing homes closing, or we have someone that's going to roll up their sleeves and say, send me, and I'm willing to do it. Antoine Thompson, I need your vote on September 9th.
Nate Boyd, People Empowerment. The man says he needs your vote. He's here to talk to the people. All right, Antoine. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming down. Awesome.
Thank you.
Power to the people. That's it. Power to the people.